We're live. Hello, everybody. We made it. Had some technical difficulties, but we're here now. You are on Live with Georgia. Tarot, 30% of the $10 you pay for a question tonight goes to charity. And we're going to review two cards tonight, Temperance and the Tower. Temperance is the calm before the storm, and the Tower is the storm. So I'm looking forward to that a lot. And when you do the major arcana, as we've been doing all of these weeks, there's the bottom of my of my beautiful tapestry. You really feel some of the energy of the archetypes. And although I haven't necessarily been looking at how death has influenced the last week of my life, I just know that when we're digging in deep to these archetypes, we're really tapping into sort of the collective unconscious and the collective subconscious. And there's a lot of, I don't know, I'm going to call it deep feeling. And I felt particularly weighed with that today. There was like an hour and a half between 4 and 5:30 where I completely lost track of time. So this is me just straight out of the shower, no makeup. Hello, everybody. Rebecca, hi. Thank you so much. Got the package today. Thank you. Rebecca's helping me with a little problem that I have in the house. Charlie, hi. How are you? Thank you for being here. I was scrambling around to find my regular tarot deck. So don't be worried. I might remember where it is and go on and forget it. But in the meantime, tonight, I'm going to work with the this special deck called Nuovo Tarocco by Ligure Piemontese. All right, this is a Milanese. It was made in 1982. It's a rare deck. It's out of print, but it's really beautiful. There are these simple images. Only the major arcana are illustrated with figures. The rest are the traditional tarot, and I'll just show you. So, for example, you have here is the Tower, right, which is similar to the Tower that we're going to be talking about, but they're beautiful images. And then if you look at, say, the 9 of coins, all you see are the coins. Now, this deck is similar to the original tarot. So the tarot of the early sort of 1700s, when they were first sort of playing cards and being used in the upper echelons of society as a game, a tarot card game, they were literally only illustrated in the trumps, as they were called, and the suits. So the kings and the queens were illustrated, and everything else was plain, like the normal card suits. Right here this is the 9 of clubs. And this is the King of Swords. You can see there, fairly serious, stern man. So you can see when you start to look at different tarot decks that are sort of connected to the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, you can see the similarity. So some people, some illustrators and some authors like to keep a connection to the original Rider-Waite-Smith interpretations, and others completely change them. I think this deck is pretty similar, which is why I'm really glad that I found it to use it tonight. So that's what I'm going to be using. And if you have your own deck, pull it out and we will play with it, and we'll definitely we'll be able to coordinate, because I remember the cards, and you can look at yours, and I know what you'll be looking at if you're looking at the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck. Okay, so in other news, I have some announcements. So the New Year's Eve Spirit Seance is almost sold out. All of our 10 seats, 9 out of 10 of our seats have been snapped up. So there's one spot left. Hi, Marlene, how are you? I'm so glad you made it. Awesome. So I was just talking about the Spirit Seance, which is coming up December 31st. It'll be at 6 p.m. It will be the only live that I have for the 2-week holiday period. So there won't be one on the 20. Actually, let me get those dates up, because I did want to mention that today, and I want to have the exact dates for everybody. So we're in December. Happy December, everybody. I hope everyone's got their Christmas tree up, and whatever you're celebrating, I hope you're celebrating it in full steam, because it's good to celebrate whilst, all the oppressions of COVID and the pandemic and, continue. And I think, for a lot of people, just celebrating the holidays has brought some joy into our lives. So we are the 5th today. I'll be on the 12th and the 19th. And then on the 26th, I'll won't be on. And then on the 31st, which is kind of like a week after, but on a Thursday, that's when the New Year's Eve, that's when I do the spirit seance. And then I'll miss the first week of January. And then I'm back on the 9th. So if you are subscribed to my email, I will make it really clear in the next email that I send. I sent one literally 5 minutes before I got on. And next week, I hope to have it all sort of really clear for people so that the month of December and January is kind of mapped out. And you know that on the 31st is the one show that's kind of off kilter. It's on a Thursday night. It's New Year's Eve, and it's actually not a show. Sorry. It's a Zoom gathering, and we're going to have a spirit seance, and it's going to be really, really good. Tara, hello. Karina, I'm so happy you made it. Thank you. In fact, Karina was telling me, are you on? And I was having this technical trouble. Thanks, Karina. Thanks, everybody, for your patience. So if you want to come to the spirit seance, there's one seat left, and you can find the link right here. All you need to do is go to my shop, right? So this is georgiamarantos.com/shop. And if you go, I think that's a link. It doesn't look like a link, but anyway, go to my website, georgiamarantos.com. You click on the shop and look for my spirit seance ticket. Zoom ticket, and there's only one seat left. So if there's more than one person that signs up, I'll have a waiting list, and then it's a month away. You never know what changes. Some people who thought they could come then can't come. So I'll have a little waiting list. There might be some changes as there were in the Charlie, I know you're signed up. I'm super looking forward to it too. And my guests, although I have some people's sort of names in my head, I haven't quite sorted out who's going to come. It is New Year's Eve, so people are celebrating with their friends. So I've got to find someone who's available, and I'll make sure that we have a lot of fun. So I'm super happy. So I'm shuffling the cards. Let's see. I also thought that tonight, in the sort of dull times when we're not picking cards, that I could pull some. Does anyone have any questions about the tarot? I also like to think that, if you have any questions, like what do the ones mean or what do the twos mean? Oh, I have this pendant which you can't see. Doesn't matter. I put everything on in such a rushing around. Oh, well. Because what I have is, we could look at the numerology of numbers. And I know in the course that we did, which was now almost 3 weeks ago, we really went through all the what do the ones mean, what do the twos mean, the threes. And we've talked about it on the show. When you get 2 sevens together, what does that mean? It kind of amplifies the importance of the number 7. 2 8s, then, you have a lot of calming action, a lot of sort of things coming back to you. Can also mean good luck, right? The number 8. So if anybody wants to have a look at the numbers, I've got the Faith Giovanni and Dusty Bunker book, Numerology and the Divine Triangle, which I love. I also have the Living Gita, which is the book of the complete Bhagavad Gita, which is one of these sort of religious texts, sacred texts, one of many. Of course, there's the Bible and the Quran and the Torah and so many sacred texts that so many different religions use. And I thought maybe we could just choose a number between 1 and 299. So if you have a number in your mind between 1 and 299, let me know, and I'll pick a page and read it out of the Living Gita and see if it's relevant. You never know. Sometimes these books can act like, living messages, so that the message that comes through is like somehow relevant, much like the randomness of picking a tarot card and how it just becomes relevant when the message comes through. So that's a Living Gita. Oh, we've already got a number. Woohoo! Linda Mitley, hi. Thank you. Linda Mitley is in the process of making some japa mala bags, which is awesome. So thank you to everybody who took up my custom mala special offer. And hopefully I'll be able to get the rest of them out before Christmas. I'm super excited because Linda's going to be making special mala bags. Now, I've been buying mala bags from India, from Vrindavan, India, and it's a woman who works with widowed women who generally don't have the capacity to create their own income, but seamstresses, and have been making these little japa mala bags. So it's a bag inside of which you put your mala, and they're the ones that I buy and sort of make available to people who buy my malas. But hopefully Linda will, who's shown me her fabric tonight, which is really beautiful, and she's going to make some bags, and I'll have them available on my website, and I'm super excited. I can't wait for that to happen. Hey, Mary, Irina, woohoo, cartomancy. Do you remember cartomancy? This is cartomancy. The magic of cards, the magic of throwing down cards. I love it. I love the idea, and I love the sound of throwing cards. Let's throw some cards and see what happens, because there's that sense of the randomness, and in that randomness, the perfection of the randomness. You know, there's that idea that, you know, this is a chaotic universe, and inside the chaos there is, you know, perfection. Oh, cartomancy, bibliomancy, the book. Yes, the book. I wonder which one you're referring to. Is there one that you're referring to? So these are beautiful cards. Let me show you the traditional. So these cards are based on the Marseille deck, right? Not the Rider-Waite-Smith. So these are Italian cards, which are based on the tarot of the Marseille and the original tarocchi from the early 1700s. Now, this is the Sun card. Now, you all might remember the Sun card has a horse and a baby that's kind of floating off the horse. The original tarot Sun card had 2 young children, twins. And I think we've spoken about that a couple of times, because someone had pulled the Sun card and we were talking about twins, but the twins were relevant in their reading. So here is the Sun and here are the twins, and the sunflowers are still there, and there's the brick wall that's still there. Yes, I am. Oh, Irina, I'm so thick. Thank you so much. I am doing bibliomancy, cartomancy, bibliomancy, the book. Yeah, thank you so much. That's exactly right. We are going to be picking a page. And in fact, Marlene says, my daughter damaged one of my tarot cards. It's really folded and the corner is ripped. I don't feel they work the same. You know, I have felt the same too. Once the card becomes sort of ripped and you can tell what it is, then whenever you're choosing a random card, your mind remembers that the ripped one is that one. Like, I think one of mine was like the 9 of Wands in one deck. I basically had to put the deck to rest because I couldn't work with it anymore. It's true they don't feel the same, but you can read it if, the truth is I've worked with decks where I didn't realize there were like 2 or 3 cards missing because they just, they're like socks sometimes. If you're reading places and you don't pick them all up, eventually you lose some. And, this is the Knight of Wands, right? So the problem is that from now on, whenever you're reading, the Knight of Wands will be obvious to you. Right. And if you don't mind that and you can kind of ignore it, the thing is when you're reading for someone and you're like, wow, it'd be really good if the Knight of Wands turned up, and then you see it and you're like, your mind is kind of beelining for it. So it becomes a bit of a distraction. But that's me. And so, you could work with it in a different way if you can let go a little bit. Because I was about to say that, I've done readings where I didn't know that the cards were missing. And, you could literally just put it out and not have it in the deck, but still be able to do a good reading. So see how you go. It is a little difficult. So just keep trying to read with the deck. And if it becomes a distraction, then put it to rest. But otherwise, just keep reading with it. Do the best you can. So we've got a few. What does 7 mean? Tara. Okay, so we got a question. Our first question for the numerology book is, what is 7? Because, yes, Tara, I remember seeing your email and your TikTok tag, and all of your numbers kind of revolve around 7. So let's find out all about 7. 7 in the tarot, the way I read a lot of the sevens, so the 7 of coins, the 7 of wands, the 7 of cups. 6 is a success card, so you've kind of got everything back into balance. Now 7 goes into the odd number again. So what it does is it kind of puts you into that space, well, to get to the end, I still have a little bit more work to do. And so 7's that little bit extra. And in general, 7 is a highly spiritual number. Here it is. Oh my goodness, 7. This is chapter 7. I just opened the book to see this chapter, which is chapter 7, and it says Bible Symbology. Wow. Okay, so I don't even know how to read that, but 7 must be related to the Bible in some way, Tara. Okay, here it is. Number 7. 7 is the principal number in the Bible. This is now on page 113 of the Dusty Bunker book, Numerology, and the Divine Triangle. So it says here, 7 is the principal number in the Bible. It's used innumerable times. Some say over 360 times in the Bible throughout both the Old and the New Testaments. Tara, are you listening to this? This is crazy. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. For in 6 days the Lord made the heaven and earth and rested the 7th day. So there's a lot of significance just in the Christian sort of understanding of the 7. One of the most profound examples of the use of the symbolic 7 is related to the fall of Jericho in the book of Joshua. So I'm going to sort of slip down to where it talks about 7 here. The Lord said unto Joshua, ye shall compass the city, go round the city once. Thus shalt do 6 days, and the priest shall bear before the ark 7 trumpets of ram's horns, and the 7th day ye shall compass the city, meaning go around the city 7 times, and the priest shall blow with trumpets, make a long blast, etc., etc. So it becomes evident that the fall of Jericho was not by warfare, but rather by the principle of 7. Victory was achieved by means of the positive vibration of sound, which had been built up to a tremendous power using the number of 7. That's wild. Okay, so that's a really interesting sort of jump into the number 7. Tara, you must be connecting the spirituality associated with it, right? So here we go as the original 7. 7 is 7 seeks answers, which is, again, that connection to spirituality. It establishes a philosophy by which to live. It tries to penetrate the mystery behind existence. Solitude is necessary for analysis. So I think 7, well, number 9 is the hermit. So I was thinking maybe, but this is where the number 7 and the number 9 are similar. And if you think about the tarot, in all of the 7s, do we have in the 7s, there's only a single figure. So the 7 of wands is, what is the 7 of wands? Fascinating. Oh, that's right. There's a figure at the top of the cliff and he's banging down all these other wands. The 7 of coins is, what's happening? Oh, yeah, there's a single figure who's looking at all these coins stocked up and there's one coin at the bottom between his feet. The 7 of cups, there's this one sort of, we're looking at the back of the figure and this figure's looking up at all the cups in the sky with the cloud and there's confusion. And the last one would be the 7 of wands, cups, swords, right? So in the 7 of swords, oh, here we go. I think the 7 of swords is one figure sort of crawling out of this circus tent. So there is that sense of 7 and solitude, or this idea that you have to kind of go it alone at this point, where you may have had help before in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections. 7 is a lonely number, much like 9 is a lonely number. And the 8s are kind of all about plenty and abundance, and the 10s are completion. So you tend to see a lot of figures in those. And on the 7th day, God rested, which we talked about. So fascinating. Quiet, introspective, intuitive, analytical, mystical, philosophical. These are great numbers. That's the number 7, Tara, which is so interesting. Erin, hello. So nice to see some new faces. Pamela. Now, Mary says, didn't Jesus teach to forgive 7 times 7? Wow. Is that 49? To forgive 7 times 7? Would that be like for 7 weeks? Like every day for 7 weeks? What does that mean, Mary? I'm super interested. Oh, meaning infinity. Fascinating. Stephanie, hello. Oh, my good friend Steph, we haven't done any Aussie Tarot Twins for a while, but hopefully in the new year, we'll both make some time. Karina says, on the Jewish religion, we work for 6 days and rest on the 7th day. And I mean, really, that rest, for the 7th day and to, the Sabbath, and to honor that day. So there's a lot of, energy around the number 7 being highly spiritual, and that sense of being, reserving one's energy for connection with the divine. I love that. I'm so happy you asked that question, because now it just, this is the way we create more, substance. For every time we pick a number card 7, now we're going to think about, that sense of greatness and connection with the divine that the number 7 gives. Superb. So I'm also, if anyone has a question, I know Karina, I think you told me you'd put in for a reading. So I'm going to, I don't know if you noticed, but I have a new deck. I couldn't find my regular deck. Forgive me, everybody. But we're using the Nuovo Tarocco Ligure Piemontese, which is an Italian deck from 1982. I found this. This was one of the first tarot decks that I bought in New York City when I first came here 15 years ago. Back then, there was like a little witchy store in Greenwich Village, and right around the corner from the Crystal store on, and I think the Crystal store is it's in, I've forgotten the name of the street, but like Bleecker Street, I think, or close to Bleecker Street. Anyway, I walked into this store and she was selling candles, and it was a very bare store, right? Bare minimum. And the lady really wasn't speaking, and I didn't quite know where I was, but as I walked in, I saw the tarot cards behind her, and I was super interested to see. I'd never seen them before, and I really loved their imagery. The imagery is just so beautiful. Now, let me see if I can show you some of the cups. Just very simple, just very simple. And the watercolor, I really love that, that simplicity, right? And then I had to learn how to read this had to learn how to read simply, right? Because here's the Knight of Cups looking a little drunk actually on his horse. But usually the Knight of Cups comes in with an offering, and it's nice that there are grapes there, so some good times will be had. But he does look super happy. Let's see if I can get the I'm not getting the camera to focus. Let's have a look. There it is. Over here. So I'm just going to have a look. Here we go. See if we can get the camera to focus again. Here we go. It's focused on the card super well. Oh, good. And it's back here. There we go. Love to you. Thank you 7 times, says Tara. Linda Dross says Italian deck. Hello, Linda. Do you love it? I love this deck. I do love it, but I've thought about bringing it on a few times, but I really want to keep to sticking with the deck that we have, so that anyone who's using the Knight to learn about the tarot gets to, see the consistency with the same deck. But I couldn't find my deck tonight. I don't know where it is, and I was in a rush. I just looked it up, says Mary. It's in the book of Matthew. Jesus says to forgive 70 times 7. The 70 times 7 expression is symbolic for infinity. Wow. So that's to forgive to infinity, right? And if you think of the Ho'oponopono prayer, the one about self-forgiveness, forgiving the other, forgiving the self, I'm sorry, I love you, forgive me, etc. That idea that it becomes a practice, so that it can be, if you are forgiving, right? Is that what we're doing? That we're forgiving. Oh, you found the link? That's awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Charlie. we pay on your website for a reading during the live? Yes. And it should be in the description. And let me just make it easy for everybody. I'm sorry about that. I put it in the description now, and I just get a little lazy. I don't put it up. So there it is, if you want to pay by credit card. I now have Venmo, but I'm not quite sure what information to give you. I think it's my email. I had some difficulty with Zelle. But so Charlie Girl and Karina have got some readings, and we have some numbers to pull from the Living Gita, right? So we're going to pull some numbers because we were just talking about the number 7. It's funny how these two books are very similar, right? Look at that. I just feel like they're vibrationally very similar, even though, you know, the information coming through. So the Living Gita is this man's interpretation. So this gentleman is the, let me see, what's his name? Swami Satchitananda, right? Sri Swami Satchitananda. And he has a yoga studio downtown in Greenwich Village, actually, on West 13th Street. And I used to go in there all the time. They had a vegetarian sort of supermarket. They had a supermarket next to the yoga studio, and the yoga studio had a little store. And I had a friend that became a yoga teacher in his in his school of yoga. What he does is he interprets the Bhagavad Gita and then tells little stories along the way to illustrate the points that come up in the Bhagavad Gita. And it's just so helpful, really, when you have somebody who's speaking very plainly and very clearly and helping you understand each verse with examples of everyday living. And it makes it easier to bring it into your own life when you're thinking, oh, okay, that's what this verse means. And it's the same with every sacred document. You know, this is where the high priestess comes into living being, because she holds all that knowledge and that understanding. And it's almost like these people, you know, these high yogi teachers have gotten in contact with their own, with the high priestess and with their own connection with the divine that they can bring through the answers. They become the high priestess, right? What should we do first? Karina, would you like your reading first? Shall I pick? And then once Charlie Girl tells me that she's paid up, I can do her if she's got a regular. Charlie, let me know what your question is, and then I can find you. So, Karina, do you want like a general reading? Should we do a general? Last week, we did the central part of the Celtic Cross, which is, if I can find it, I'm just going to show you all what the central part of the Celtic Cross looks like. So this is the Celtic Cross, right? So you have the Celtic Cross is this cross that you see, and this, it goes up. So you have the 1 and 2 cards are in the center. You have 3 being conscious thought, 4 being unconscious or subconscious thought, 5 being the past, and 6 being the future. And then 7, 8, 9, 10 meaning other things. But last week we did the central part of the Celtic Cross, and that was super fun, right? Someone got like quite an in-depth reading, because we end up looking at what they're consciously thinking of, what's going on underneath the surface, what's challenging them, and looking at their past and their future. So it's like a past, present, and future reading in the middle, and then what's on their mind and what's in their subconscious mind underneath. And you really get a lot of information when you're only putting down these 6 cards. So we could do that for you, Karina. Would that be cool? Maybe we could do that. Let's do it. All proceeds tonight, 30% of all the money we raise tonight will go to the Irish Wheelchair Association. I wanted to keep it going because just, to raise more money for them. And it is coming up that time just before Christmas. And I thought maybe one of the last time that we're together, I could maybe match everybody's donation, which would be really good. So we can give them a nice little sum at the end of the month. So, these cards, they shuffle so well. Here we go, Karina. I'm going to choose 6 cards for Karina. 6 cards. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then I'm going to lay them out. I think I've said this once before. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One day, hopefully very soon, hopefully during the 2-week break over Christmas and New Year, I'll figure out how to do 2 cameras so that when you can see me like and talk, and then there'll be another little camera, little section here where I'll stream from both places at the same time, and then you can see the cards that I'm using, right? It's just a little easier. You have a visual tool. Top, bottom, back, forward. Okay. So, my dear, you're in a position right now of I feel, joy and laughter. You know, the 3 cups are all lined up. You're manifesting that which you want. There really is no need for you to do anything else other than just enjoy life as it is at the moment. And you know, these cards are kind of holy chalices. They're sort of connecting you with the divine. You're connecting with the divine, and you're manifesting in the physical, in the 3 dimension. It's like pure, you know, the if we were to say, well, what did we come to earth in a physical body to do? We came to connect with the divine, to manifest our desires, and to enjoy them. This is the card, the 3 of Cups, those 3 women who are all holding cups and enjoying themselves in abundance. That's why we're here on earth, essentially, to manifest our desires and to enjoy them, right? So you're in that position right now, and that's a great position. Is there anything that's challenging you? Right? So let's say communication, because the swords are about intellect and communication. And I know your intellect is very sharp, so it's not that. It's communication. So if anything was to exist to put a spanner in the works for this beautiful connection that's upright, that's, you know, connecting, you're manifesting, you're enjoying, it's sometimes communication gets out of the, gets you out of the loop, right? And what does that mean? It doesn't mean anything really, because nothing terrible is going on. It's actually just all good. And so when you're looking at communicating, right, you're not going to mince any of your words. You're going to keep all of these thoughts separate and think to yourself, well, which thought should I express and which shouldn't I? And I think you already do that. I think you're very good at finding the right the right words to say, the right thing to communicate so that everybody's feeling good, much like a Libran does. And I don't know what star sign you are, Karina, but, you know, the Librans always want to keep the balance, and they want to make sure that everybody in the room is okay. And I think you do that. So on your mind is the Justice card, which we did talk about not last week, but the week before. And the Justice card talks about truth and balance, and that karmic balance. So here she is, she's holding the scales. She's got the sword of truth. This is very similar to the one of the Rider-Waite-Smith, except in the Rider-Waite-Smith, there are 2 columns behind, and those 2 columns take us back to the High Priestess and take us to the Hierophant and connect us to the fact that there's knowledge and understanding that we don't have access to. But I think that on your mind is the fact that you are understanding how to balance your life. You're understanding how to put the teachings into practice, your spiritual teachings into practice, and how to come into a way of being where you understand that whatever is happening in front of you is happening as a result of X, Y, and Z thoughts, words, and actions that you have performed in the past. And maybe this is what you're doing. There's a balancing, there's a happening, and you're like, oh, this is happening because of that. Okay, I understand. So if there's ever a question in your mind about what's happening in the present moment, you can be assured that if you were to look at something, at some thought about some, let's say something, went awry, something kind of didn't happen. Well, it was probably just because of a lapse of thought from a few moments ago or a few weeks ago or a few days ago. And it's not like anything terrible is happening. It's just that you are coming into the consciousness of understanding how it all works, right? That's the Justice card for you. And underneath that is the 6 of Swords. Now, the 6 of Swords, again, every time I look at these cards, I have to think, in my mind, it's a bit like having 2 languages. I know the language of the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, But so, for example, if you're, and we were talking about this, Karina, you and I were talking about this when we were together the other day. We were saying, you were counting in Spanish, and I was saying, oh, so you think in Spanish but speak English, so that you are having to interpret and speak in another language, because it's two languages, right? So this is two languages for me. This language, this Marseille deck, is not the deck that I learnt to read on. So when I look at this deck, I have to translate this card to the card that I understand it to be in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck for me to interpret it properly, or at least to my satisfaction. If I was to interpret this card just as it is, without referring to what the Six of Swords is in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, then what I see, right, and I'm sure you can see it too, is that there are 6 swords, 4 going in one direction, 2 going in another direction. Now, this is the subconscious section. So so far, all the cards that I read, right, the 3 of Cups was the number 1. 3 of Cups was number 1. The 7 of Swords was number 2. That was crossing. The Justice card was number 3. And number 4 is the 6 of Swords. Number 4 is the subconscious. Number 3 was the Justice, the conscious. So you're consciously thinking of how to bring yourself into balance. And this card is the subconscious card, right? So this is like, 4 swords are going in one direction. 2 swords are going in the opposite direction. So this is about control, right? This is about, okay, not everything's going in the right direction or in the direction that I think everything's going in. So there are 2 swords that are going in the opposite direction. So this is like, here we come, entering that seed of chaos, and the idea that there's perfection in the world's chaos, right? And that we can't always, and even though we want to as humans, which is why we created science, right? Science is this intellectual side of man and existence that wants to measure, accurately account for everything that's happening in the universe. There's physics, and quantum physics is all kind of like, encompassed in this idea of science wanting to, it could very well be desires, right? Could be desires, absolutely. And control of desires, right? And that we can't control them. So there's a sense that, there are 4 swords going in one direction, and it's the 2 directions that I keep looking at, right? And so that's in the subconscious. So you're relating to it as a control of desires. And so I'm going to go with that, right? You used to play with a deck in Argentina, Truco. And is that like the tarot? I'm so curious to know. The control of desires. So here we go. Can you control them? Can you not control them? And so this is that balance that we find. Okay, I'm really not in control of this little section, but I am in that. How does not being in control sit with me, right? Because I know how I would answer that. It doesn't sit well with me at all. I feel very unstable. It's called Truco. Oh, I see. It's a different kind of game. I'm going to look it up. It sounds very interesting. It's a regular card game, Karina? Let us know. Super interested. I have the children, and we sit down and we play different card games now. So it's really fun, and they're really into it. So I'm curious about the world's card games. Yeah. Thank you, Karina. So what can we say about this card, right? What can we say? Control of desires. So I'm going to pull another card. I'm going to say, you know what? It's all part of being in the world, and it's all part of figuring it out. And so we end up realizing that there are some things that are beyond our control that we just have to let slip by, and that they have to always, those things that we want, that we can't sort of control, that we have to completely just let the idea of being able to control it go, because this is a card of freedom. And I just pulled an extra card for this card, which is what I do when I want to say, well, what can we do about that? Well, there's nothing you can do about that. You just have to accept it, that it's a part of life. That's the world card. And this world card, you can see, is almost exactly like the Rider-Waite-Smith one. You have a woman, she's naked, she's carrying 2 lightning rods. They're both burning at both ends. There's a beautiful, successful wreath. It's exactly the same. And you have those 4 spirit guides, the eagle, the angel, the lion, and the ox. And, oh, you'll be right back. Charlie, let me know when you come back. And in the meantime, what I'll do is I'll read from the Living Gita book, Il Mondo, this is the world, right? So in this card, you know that at any point, if you need help, you can contact these spirit guides, right? And that you have the answers at your fingertips for whatever it is that you want to manifest and desire. And there's also that very tough teaching, which is that if it's meant for you, it'll come to you. If it's not, then it just won't. And therefore, the best thing is to just be still. And that if it's, it's either coming or it's not, and we don't need to worry about it. And that sometimes throwing into the universe the idea of, well, where is it and how come it's not here and what am I doing and how come I'm not doing enough and all this pontificating adds resistance to the whole system. And if we just let it go, then our desires can sort of quieten down and then they're not gripping us as much. And I think that's probably helpful. Look at this. I know in the last few days, look at this guy, how hard he's working. So this is the past. This is this one, number 5 in your Celtic Cross, number 5. I know, Karina, you were going to do the course with me on Saturday that happened on the 14th of November. So you would have, we actually studied the Celtic Cross, so you would know how to do this, and now you're learning anyway. So there you go. Number 5 is that's the past, right? So in the last 3 months, you've been working hard. We know you have because you've set up the conscious manifestation program where people get these little gifts that come full of spiritual goodness from Creek and Wellness Retreat. And you have been working very hard. This guy, I mean, look at him. He's got hair on his back. He's got bruises on his arms. He's walking. He's half man, half horse. He's a centaur, basically. And this, to me, signifies effort and someone who's actually very capable. Right? And look where you're moving toward. This is a very abundant time. The next 3 months for you are very abundant. This is the King of Coins and the King of Pentacles. And you can see that he has so many pentacles, more pentacles than anybody could possibly need or want in a lifetime. So the next 3 months is a very abundant time for you. And enjoy it. I don't know if you're going to be spending time with family, but I do see that. And I know that it's difficult with COVID and with social distancing, but I do feel that that's going to be happening for you. I'm not sure if you're traveling, but I do have you, because I see this happening outside the castle. See, there's a big fence of what look like fern trees. The castle's behind him and he's outside of the castle. So that's happening in the next 3 months. And Karina's saying, thank you. Thank you, Karina. One more just for goodness. Right, one more, one overall outcome card. Oh, Karina, look at that. This is the Ace of Cups. Now, it looks like the Two of Cups and the Ace of Cups combined. Why? Because you have a male and female hand, or maybe just 2 hands, shaking hands over a cup of, over a chalice, right? But it is the Ace of Cups. Very different interpretation to the Ace of Cups of the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, which has the bird, the Holy Spirit, and the that sense of drinking the divine flow of life and love. And here you've got 2 people shaking hands over the cup, but there is an overflowing of love and emotion. And that's you. That's your overall card, which I wanted to pick and just say, there's an abundance of love overflowing from you to others, Karina, and I'm very grateful for that, as we all should be. Oh, you'll be traveling? Oh, that's wonderful. Well, happy travels, Karina. Because that did say he had gone out of the castle, right? That was literally there in the card. He's not in the castle. He's outside of the castle. So we can say that he's traveling with his money, with his wares. And today I found a chalice in the attic. Oh, my Lord. You must send us a picture. I'd love to see it. We don't have any I don't have any chalices. Well, you know, those old traditional, very adorned cups. You know, they used to be these gold cups, and they were used by the priests in religious ceremonies, also by pagans, and by people who use the cauldron. So the cauldron and putting in things that feed people and bless people in this sort of cauldron. So the cup actually signifies a holding, a healing, as well as emotions and feelings. Superb. So when Charlie comes back, we'll do a reading for her. But in the meantime, let's get some of those numbers. Let's get the Living Gita going. Let's get some bibliomancy going. Irina, thank you for that word. I love it. Okay, so I think the first number was 100 by Irina. Let's see what's on page 100. I'm curious. I'm just going to choose a paragraph from this page. Okay. Here we go. Well, this kind of starts on the previous page. So in the beginning of the Bible, God speaks of a tree of wisdom with two kinds of fruits, which he tells Adam not to eat. That means don't reach for the good fruit. He doesn't even have to say, don't eat the evil fruit. That's interesting, right? So any fruit on the tree is not worth picking, is what's being said here. The moment Adam wants what's good, automatically he doesn't want what's bad. Okay, this is deep. The minute, look at this. The moment Adam wants what's good, automatically he doesn't want what's bad. So by reaching for one thing, you've already made it obvious that you don't want what's not good for you, right? Or what you don't want another thing. Once you take one side, the other side follows. Well, this is interesting. So God said, don't even reach for what's good. Oh, this is taking it one step further. There's no evil or good in you. Stay away from those dualities. Okay, we're going deep, people. But if you begin to argue, no, this is good, why can't I taste it? Then even as you do it, you'll be classifying something else as bad. So I think what he's saying here is that with the good comes the bad. Because you're reaching for the good, you're actually at the same time that you're saying, I want the good, you're saying, I don't want the bad. And that statement, I don't want the bad, comes with you as you reach for the good. Therefore, the best thing to do is to not reach for anything, i.e. not to reach for the fruit at all, which is what he's saying. Because if you reach for the fruit, then you're reaching for both the good and the bad fruit. You think it's good, but it could be bad for you. Either way, the good and the bad are in it, and you're better off not even reaching for it. When there is one quality, the opposite is always there. So God asks Adam to remain above this good and bad, pleasure and pain, and all of the dualities. But Adam saw only the good, and he wanted to taste its fruit. So its counterpart, evil, arose. Okay, I have never heard the whole Adam and Eve story spoken about in this way. This is amazing. And this really puts it in a good place for me in terms of understanding how duality works and how we can rise above it, because I never realized, I never understood how the Bible was speaking about duality. All the different scriptures seem to have the same ulterior purpose, but each presents it in a different way through different allegories. That's true, right? But if you keep that basic truth in mind, it's easy to solve all the puzzles from any scripture. All the stories are easily clarified. Then the stories aren't that important because you've got the truth, which was the reason for telling the story in the first place, which is what I'm saying. But he hasn't said that. If you want to keep the story, you can, but just for fun. That's a little bit like life, isn't it? So you can enjoy the story of life, but just don't get trapped by it, which is what I understand these high teachers to be saying to us. You don't need it anymore. Until you get the truth, you need the story. So we're in our story and we're believing it and we're suffering in our story until we can release ourselves from the story by seeing through into the reality of who we are, as opposed to what we think is real in front of us, which is, steeped in dualities, and that we will always be sad and unhappy, that or we will always be sad once we're happy and happy once we're sad. We'll be stuck in the cycling of duality. So I'm going to read a little bit more because I'm super, super fascinated. I hope you all don't mind. Marlene says that's very interesting. I think so too. I love this book so much. Such stories are like scaffolding. So scaffolding is like that stuff where people sort of create structure outside of a building, and they're on the outside of the building, right? Someone will have to tell me if I'm wrong. Scaffolding. You need the scaffolding to construct the main building, right? Once you build it, you take away the scaffolding. You can think of it like a lollipop. The stick is the scaffolding that holds the candy. Finish the candy, throw the stick away. Oh, this is all beautifully said by Sri Swami Vivekananda in the beginning of his book, Raja Yoga, which is a commentary on the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, which I've been wanting to read, but I've got so many books I want to read. I just have to stick with one. This is it at the moment. He says that all these temples, dogmas, worship services, and different yogas are aids, walking sticks, crutches. If you are limping, you can take any aid that will help you, but remember that it's just a crutch. When you can really walk, you throw the crutch away. It's sort of insanity even to carry crutches when you walk well, which is why at a certain level, you don't have to go to the temple or church. You don't have to do any worship. You don't have to stand on your head or practice any yoga. You don't need anything. Wow. Okay. Well, that's what we're all aiming for, not to need crutches, right? At the moment, I'm using some crutches. It's super interesting. And, of course, I love the fact that he brought together all the different religions, because they're all valid, right? And there was no separating. There was no saying that one religion is worse than the other, which I really do believe in the unity of religion. For the one purpose, which is to discover the love that we are. All right, I'm back. Charlie says, I'm here. Woohoo. Well, I got my cards ready. What would we do? Will we do another Celtic Cross for you? Why not? We're doing sort of Celtic Crosses. Unless you have a specific question. Charlie, let me know. I could just do the Celtic Cross with you. Want to do that? Well, I'm only doing this part of the Celtic Cross, right? So I ran on to today's live. I did nothing. Super, super raw, super unfiltered today. So glad everyone's here. I don't know for anyone else. There's one seat left for my Spirit Seance. If you go to my website in the shop, you'll see Spirit Seance. It's a Zoom class. It's on the 31st of December at 6 p.m. If you want to join us, it'll be a really wonderful, tight, private gathering where we'll be bringing through messages for everybody, and I'm super excited that everyone's jumped on and we've got a good group of people. But it is New Year's Eve, and I know people want to spend time with their families. Okay, here we go. So, Charlie, we've got 6 cards for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so there's some change coming for you, Charlie, because you're right now in the middle of what seems like challenging times. I mean, am I right? I've got 2 5s for you. I have the 5 of Cups on top of you, which means that's what you're thinking about, that something has disappointed you. And then right on top of you is, and I don't know if this has to do with emotions or a relationship, but somewhere I have you as the King of Cups. Now, remember, in the King of Cups in the traditional Rider-Waite is a man on a cement throne floating on the water, and there's kind of like choppy sea around him with a fish coming out of the water, and he's just very cool, calm, and collected, this guy. Spot on. I mean, the cards are telling it as it is. And so this guy is sitting in a chair, also similarly looking very cool, calm, and collected. Look at him. Let's see if I can focus on him. So here we go. So look at this. This card is so curious. In this mountain, there's a mouth with the water coming out of the mouth. I mean, it's spewing out. So I feel like whilst people around you are really losing it, right? And I'm not sure if this is someone you know or whether you feel like that could be you, where people are just they're talking with their emotions when they really shouldn't be talking at all. And that's probably for me and for everybody a very good mental note. It's like when we're highly emotional, we should just keep silent. Because then you don't look at the water here. It just looks like a tidal wave's about to come out toward him. And he's looking at the cup. His cup looks empty, but that's because he's kind of got it under control. He's super relaxed. So where he could be freaking out, he's super relaxed. And I think that that's you at the moment. This is definitely the number one card. And what covers you or what's challenging you is this, the Five of Wands, which in the traditional deck are these kids which are waving around these wands, and you don't quite know what's going on. Are they having a fight, or are they just playing? Are they going to whack each other with them? We don't know, but there's two fives. There's a five that we mentioned on top and the five that we mentioned that's challenging you, right? So this is the cross part in the intersect. So I would say that, it does feel like there's a challenge at the moment, and it's okay. It's okay, because what's going to happen is change. I see this is the Death card coming up. That's in your future position. And I can say to you that whatever's going on now, there'll be an ending to that. So you're going to get the next chapter. So this is transformation. Remember, we talked about it last week. It's not scary. It's okay to move through a tight, you're in the eye of the needle part, and you're going to get through to the other side, and you're going to have dropped away all this stuff that you really didn't need to have to worry about. Isn't that wonderful? That's what death and transformation does for us. It's like you don't need all of this stuff if you can just live. Obviously there's a dismembered body. So in the traditional Marseille deck, the tarot deck, you have a skeleton, right? And sometimes the, what's that guy with the Grim Reaper, indicating death. But this one's here a sea of people, right? Or kind of a mud of people and bodies dismembered. But there's clearly change coming up in the next 3 months for you. And that change is good, because you don't want to be in this kind of, with all this emotion around you that you have to manage, and this kind of little bit of a struggle. Oh, Charlie. Oh, she says, I'm in tears. This all speaks to me so much. Well, there's goodness on the horizon. There's good change. You're really dropping stuff away. And let's just pull out a few more cards, because underneath what you really want is this is the Two of Cups. And this is the, to me, this is the classic, in the Rider-Waite-Smith, you've got two people offering cups. What you want is a peace, balance, meeting on the same level. You want someone to meet you at your level, right? That's this unconscious desire, this sense of wanting to have this equalness. And I see these two cups, they're one on top of another, but they're actually meant to be side by side and very equal, right? And the number 2 indicates choices. So you have, not only is this, so you have one cup, but now you've multiplied it by 2. So you have more love. So this is in that sort of unconscious, this desire, this is what you desire, but also what I believe is coming for you. When I first saw this, I thought it was 3 cups, but it's 2 cups, which is okay. The 3 of Cups comes very shortly after the 2 of Cups. So you have this sense of joy and celebration coming to you when you get that duality and that balance. So let's have a look at the Death card and add just a couple more to see, can we add a little bit more detail there? Here we go. The 3 of Coins, creativity. So you're going to move out of whatever drops away, whatever ends, you're going to have a very creative period coming at the same time as this. So don't be afraid of the ending, because it's going to create substrate. So what happens, traditionally, when the body has died, we put it in the ground so that it becomes fertilizer for life to continue growing. Or when a forest burns down, it becomes, everything that's burnt becomes sort of rich nutrient for new life to come through. And so that's why we are encouraged not to be afraid of this death card, because in death you have everything that's broken down become substrate to generate the new creativity. So you're coming into a place where endings and beginnings, but very creative, very rich, fertile, creative beginnings are coming for you, and you can look forward to that. And if I was to pick 7, 8, 9, and 10, then you've got some kind of awakening happening. I'm not going to pull the cards up, but there's someone in your environment who is either concerned about money or has a lot of money, or is concerned about where they're putting their money. I have this guy here, just very quickly. I don't know if he's a father or a partner or a brother, but he's a man, definitely. And, it might be that he's insecure about the money. So I kind of get that sense of insecurity about money. Does he really need to worry? Does he need to worry? I don't think he needs to worry, because there's the 10 of clubs. Sometimes death and change. So then we have the 9 of swords, but he's worried. So I get worried. Someone's worried about money around you, right? Maybe that's where the emotion's coming from. I don't know. One card, which is the 7. So that person that's worried about money around you is really going to have to make a choice about what he wants, what they want. And so, what do you want? Do you want multiple riches? Do you want a happy, healthy family? Do you want to go on your yearly vacation? It's almost like, something's going to have to give. One of these, you can't reach for, can you have it all? Well, maybe you can have it all. Maybe not at the moment, but maybe, yes, you can have it all. So at the moment, how can you bring happiness into your life? So it's not you. I think it's this person around you who needs to kind of give up on the idea of having it all right now, or trying to hold on to everything right now. Right? And so the best thing for this person to do is to speak to some kind of financial planner or someone who can strategize for them and give them like a 10-year, look ahead, right? And this guy's the King of Swords, who we know is the guy to be able to lead you. He's a highly intellectual human being who knows exactly how to put things together, and that's what I feel is, and I hope that makes sense to you. So that he's going to help you. And one more, because we don't have anyone else who's paid up for a reading yet, and we're going to get round to pulling from the Living Gita. These cards have done pretty well. What do you say? I think I think everyone knows a little bit enough. Anyone else pulling cards with me? Let me know. Let me know if you're pulling cards with me tonight. And this is me just blowing my hair dry because I ran out of this is my witchy look. Calling it my witchy look with my bibliomancy. This is cartomancy. I love that. Thanks, Arena. Everybody who wants to buy some beautiful perfume, please, Arena. And she's at Phoenix Botanicals on Instagram. And Linda Drost has an aromatherapy Etsy shop as well. So these are the two people who are on this call. Marlene says, you have cards, but you haven't pulled any. All right. What are we doing right now? I love this deck too. So it's not someone around me, but myself. Oh, okay. So it's you. So then it's the energy of the King of Coins, right? And so if you can get someone to strategize with you, I hope that that's something that you can do, because that person will bring through, some really good ideas for you. See the Knight of Swords, and in the traditional deck, he's like going forward on his horse and he's got his head down and he's fully focused. So I do feel like you're going to get some good ideas from this advisor, or you're going to contact or be in contact with someone who will help you. Linda! Linda Giangreco made it. Woohoo! Tara's going to be at the seance. Woohoo! We got our last person. We're all filled up. Yay! That's wonderful, Tara. I'm so happy. Yay! This is 6 p.m. on New Year's Eve. Hi, Linda. I'm so glad you made it. We are reading from tonight. We're reading from this very special Italian deck, and I know you're Italian, and I know, like our other Linda Drost, who also appreciates the Italian connection because her family is also Italian. This is the Nuovo Tarocco Ligure Piemontese deck from Milan in 1982, and I've been reading from it, and the images are just so beautiful. I'm going to show you one. Oh, here is the Queen of Cups. Is she not gorgeous? Beautiful fruit tree behind. Charlie says, you got a hand. I love your hand. I love the hand. Look at her. She's just so gorgeous. I love her dress, and she's leaning on, who knows, gorgeous table with her cup, with her multiple rings. I just think she's adorable with her fruit tree. And I know, Linda, this is you. You are the Queen of Cups, and you are in your orchard that has been bearing fruits all summer. I know you've been getting your green thumb going, and I absolutely adore this card for you. And I'm so happy that you came, and here you are drinking out of your cup and enjoying life. Beautiful. And seeing all the goodness in life. But this is the Ligure Piemontese deck. And I was telling people earlier that I found it in a witchy store in New York City that has since closed. So it was this very bare bones store, and I could see that she made candles and sort of spells and things for people, but I wasn't really interested in that. I just kind of stumbled into the store in Greenwich Village. And I went back a few years after I bought the deck. So I saw this deck and I just fell in love with it, and I had to have it. And it was really quite expensive. It was one of the most expensive decks I'd bought at that time. It might have been like $100 and something dollars, maybe even $200. It was really quite a stretch for me to kind of pay that kind of money for a deck. But I knew it was rare because I found out later that you just can't buy this anymore. It's a rare deck. It's out of print. And I just felt so lucky to have it. And I was using it for a while, and then I thought, I better stop using it so that I don't do what happened to Marlene, where, eventually you flick a card and you cut it, or the kids play with it. Look at this. This is the hermit. Look at this funny hermit. He's barefoot among cactuses. So this is a guy who's fearless, right? This is, again, I think we're tapping into Linda, your fearlessness of being able to walk amongst the cacti and not worry, because you have the lantern, you have the way. So there's no need to be concerned about where you're walking, because you have the spiritual knowledge and you have that understanding, and you have your own wisdom through which you move life, when you move through life. Wonderful. So Marlene, Charlie says, I need to tell you about my Italian connection of all nights. Oh, so we have a lot of Italian connection. I'm married to an Italian man, and Linda's Italian. The two Lindas are Italian. I'm sure they're Italians area. Tara, is your partner Italian? I remember, there's Italian, a lot of Italians in America. Couldn't believe how many New Yorkers, were Italian, or the Italian base. Governor Cuomo's Italian, isn't he? It's a very Italian name. So Irina picked page 11. So we're now going to read out of the Living Gita. We're doing some bibliomancy for those that have just arrived. And Linda Mitley chose up page 137. And then maybe after this, I'll start talking about the Temperance card, which, to be honest, I don't have the deck here with me, so I wonder if I can talk about it. I'll find it. Here it is. So this is the original Arthur E. Waite book, The Pictorial Key to the Tarot. the pictorial key to the tarot. And what I'll do is I'll just pick out the card here and we'll talk about it here. So Temperance is the calm before the storm. Oh, thank God. It's not the Tower, it's the devil that comes after him. So maybe we'll just do Temperance tonight. I thought I could do two, but we'll only do one. So on a page 137, I'm jumping around a little, but we have the Living Gita by Sri Swami Satchitananda. That's what he looks like. And I mentioned to people he has an integral yoga studio that I used to go to all the time. Or at least I used to go to the store and the little grocery store that they had and eat their lunch. They'd cook food every day. It was just really yummy, good for you, vegetarian food. So this is on a page 137. Here it is. It's a long story. And it's all about an eye for an eye. Is everyone ready for a little story? This is almost 2 pages long. Oh, my goodness. This is a story that goes for 3 pages. Linda Mitley. You and I might have to do this one privately later because, oh, my Lord, this is a story that goes into, oh, my Lord, it is at least 4 pages long. So let me just give everyone an idea of what it's about. So there's a saint called Kanapar, Kannappar, and this is obviously Swami Satchitananda's commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita. So I'm not reading the actual verses in the Gita, I'm just reading his commentaries. And he says this saint, when he was a youth, was still known as Tinapar, which means hefty boy. So he must have been chubby, I'm assuming. Hefty means chubby, but it could mean something else. Let me go on. As a child, he was quite strong and solid, so his father called him Tinapar. He grew up to become a hunter. One day, he went hunting with 2 friends. At one point, they were chasing a wild boar, a pig. Even as they aimed their arrows, the boar ran up and over a hill. Pursuing the animal, they too went over this unfamiliar hill and saw a small shed. The animal seemed to have led them there. What is this, they wondered. Who is inside? Tinapar opened the shed and saw a Shiva Lingam there. Look, this is a Shiva Lingam, said Tinapar. People worship this. Immediately past samskaras came forward in his mind. So samskaras is explained here in Sanskrit, means mental impressions or habits of mind. Probably the saint was much devoted to Lord Shiva in a past lifetime. His friends continued on the hunt, but Tinapar became madly attached to the Shiva Lingam and cried out, My dear Lord, you are all alone here. Who takes care of you? Who feeds you? Nobody has bathed you, I can see, and you must be terribly hungry. See, all his past devotion rose to the surface. Wait, he said. I'll give you a bath and some nice food. He ran all the way to the bottom of the hill and, searching for a big, juicy pig, killed it and began to barbecue it. As he roasted the flesh, he kept tasting it to see whether it was cooked well enough or not. Then he threw away the parts that were not good. He put the choicest sections on a big banana leaf and started up the hill. As he was holding the leaf, carrying the offering, he remembered that he should first bathe the deity before offering food. He didn't have any vessel for carrying water. Oh, what can I do? He wondered. Then an idea came. He ran to the source of water there, carefully rinsed his mouth, then took a great mouthful of water, held it inside, and began running up the hillside with the pork in hand, water in his mouth, back to the altar. God, God, he tried to call with the water in his mouth. Then he leaned toward the Shiva Lingam and poured the water from his mouth over the deity. In that way, he gave a nice bath and then placed the pork on the altar. Then he became very, very happy. He felt that he had fed God. He danced around and around in joy. Every day I'll come and do this, he promised. You won't be alone in the future. I'll be back tomorrow. And he went down the hill. Little did Tinapar know that on the other side of the big hill there was a village. And in the village lived a devoted Brahmin priest who came every day to this hidden altar, worshipped there, and left again. Oh, my Lord. So the sort of, the comedy of errors starts up, doesn't it? Here comes this, Brahmin priest who's been worshipping this deity, the Shiva Lingam. And then this other guy, Tinapa, who's we're going to see what happens. I'm very excited. I hope you're all following this. Otherwise, I've gone mad. The next morning, very early, the Brahmin priest, arose, bathed, and slipped away to the small hidden temple. When he arrived, he saw the pork there and was stunned. What devil is coming here and desecrating the temple like this? He wondered. My Lord, I don't know what to do. Who would dare try to pollute you this way? Disgusted and repulsed, he began to clean everything. He got fresh water to purify and sanctify everything. He came back and did a special, much longer purification, puja, or worship, as prescribed in the scriptures, which he knew very well, offered flowers, and he said, please forgive me for letting this happen. I hope it won't happen again. Some vandals must have come here and done this. Oh, my Lord. I wonder if the priest will eat the food. He didn't, Irina. Thus he worshipped with great sincerity and devotion, and then he returned to the village. By noon, Tinapa had returned. He saw the flowers and he said, my Lord, someone has only left you flowers today. They didn't give you anything to eat. In fact, the priests do offer delicacies at the altar, but after worshipping, usually they take it all home because they know God isn't going to eat it physically. But Tinapa thought, oh, you must be really hungry. This time he was all ready with the pork. Again, he poured water from his mouth to bathe the Lord and offered the pork before the Shiva Lingam. In his devotion, he became so happy he just danced and jumped about in great joy. Each day, Tinapa worshipped God in this fashion. And the next morning, Shiva Gocharya, the Brahmin, discovered the temple desecrated again. Oh, he began to despair. At night, he couldn't sleep. One night, he fell asleep as dawn broke. Then God appeared in his dream. Now, this is the Brahmin priest, right? Don't worry, Shiva Gocharya, said the Lord. You are a great devotee, but there is an even greater devotee worshipping me. He's a hunter. He doesn't know anything about fresh fruits and vegetables. All he knows is to give pork. He knows no rituals either, but I love his worship. I admire his faith and devotion. Tomorrow, after your own worship, hide there and you will see true devotion. Oh, this is so nice. Later that day, after his own worship was finished, Shiva Gocharya was hiding and watching the small shrine. He saw the hunter arrive, pour water from his mouth, and put the roast pork down before the altar. Then Tinapa began to dance with joy. But as he was dancing, Tinapa noticed something. In his devotion, he didn't see the Shiva Lingam as a stone. Instead, he saw God in human form. And as he looked, he suddenly could see that one of the eyes of God was bleeding. Tinapa stopped dancing. God, what happened? You're bleeding. Did someone hurt you? What can I do? Wait, please, I'll bring some herbs. He ran down the hill and picked some healing herbs, ran back, squeezed them, and applied them on the bleeding eye. But the bleeding didn't stop, and Tinapa started to cry. He was completely out of his mind. He didn't know what to do. Then suddenly he knew. I know, an eye for an eye. That will take care of it, said the hunter. You just wait, my lord. And from his quiver, he took a sharp arrow. He applied the point of the arrow to the outside corner of his own eye. Oh, my lord. Quickly pushed the arrow in and popped his own eye out of the socket into his hand. Immediately, he put that on the Lord's bleeding eye. The moment he took his hand away, the bleeding stopped. He became so happy, He didn't think even for a second about his own bleeding or the loss of his own eye. Linda Mitley, I hope you're, this is your page, but our page. Oh my God. He became so happy he didn't even think for a second about his own bleeding or the loss of his own eye. He danced around, jumping in joy for half an hour. Oh Lord, oh my Lord, I'm so glad that this eye has helped you see, he cried happily as he danced about. Afterward, he was ready to leave the deity, but to his surprise, he saw that the Lord's other eye was bleeding. My God, what has happened to you? Don't worry. I know the remedy now. I have one more eye for you. Tinapa drew the arrow out again and was about to push out his other eye when he had a thought. Oh, if I take this eye out also, I won't be able to see where to put the eye of God because I won't have any eyes to see. Ah, wait, I can trace my way. He stood squarely before the Lord, lifted one leg high, and put his foot on God's cheek. Oh, my Lord. Standing that way on one leg, Tinapa said, now I can easily find my way to God's eye and put mine there. I'm going to cry right now. So he stood there and began to work out his remaining eye with the arrowhead. Now, all the while, Shiva Gocharya, the Brahmin priest, had been watching. When Tinapa had plucked out his first eye, the priest began to shake uncontrollably. Oh, my God, what devotion, he said to himself. But when Tinapa began to pull out his other eye, Shiva Gocharya literally fainted and God appeared to him. At the same moment, God appeared to the hunter in more grandeur than ever before and called him Kanapa, which means the eye fixer. Kanapa, stop, said the Lord. I'm thoroughly satisfied with your devotion. I wouldn't have allowed you to go through this pain if not for this poor man who is also a devotee. You come every day to worship with true devotion. Certainly you will reach me. Kanapa's eyes were given back to him and his sight returned clearer than ever. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. This is not just a story. There were 60 great Shaiva saints. Kanapa was one, a living person. He didn't know the procedures prescribed by scriptures, but with such pure devotion, there's no wrong method. So what's the point of this story? God doesn't worry about your pomp and show, about golden chariots and golden plates and golden cups. Even one simple banana is fine. God is not worried about what you're bringing there, but with each feeling you bring it. If you just want to show off your position and wealth, God will know that also. So it is your pure devotion that God is accepting, even if you simply offer a handful of water or a leaf. God doesn't worry about your ingredients. Oh, that's so beautiful. Okay, I because I went into the story, we had to go through to the end, but that was really quite amazing. How to bring this to Temperance now. Oh, I'm still shaking after the story, but here we go. This is Temperance. Temperance is this great angel, right? Temperance itself means to temper, to temper and to flatten. Hi, baby. My family's just returned. Adriana, hello. Hi. I hope you got to hear some of that beautiful story. Anyway, it's in page 137, actually 136, maybe 135, 136, 137, and 138 of the Living Gita. That was an amazing story, really quite extraordinary. And, the moral of the story, just before I go on, just so that I can let it sink in, really, is about the devotion that we show, not necessarily what it is that we're offering. So that the Brahmin priest was saying, oh, look at this demon that's leaving pork on my beautiful Shiva Lingam, when in fact it was the devotion with which it was being left that was more important. So that's something. And so here we go, temperance. Remember, temperance has come after death, and after death there is a pause, right? So we pause we go into silence. And in silence, we start to balance out our emotions because we've just been through massive change and transformation. And so you have this angel, and it's often thought to be Angel Gabriel, Archangel Gabriel, who's the healer, who comes in to heal. And these are white lilies, irises, right? And so the goddess, the Egyptian gods, the Greek gods are sort of referenced here in the irises. And here in the pool of water, you have one foot in the water, which is tempering the emotions, and another foot on the land, which grounds the emotion. And so there's a balancing happening here, one foot in water, one foot on the earth. And you can see this symbol of the water sign, right, is that the water is being passed through these two cups. And obviously one cup is higher and the other one is lower. So one cup is going, but it feels like the direction is bidirectional. And there are two wings. And you also have here at the heart, the triangle in the square, and it's an upright triangle. So you have the divine and the Holy Trinity. And this is about manifesting calmness, tempering, and also there's a sense of not just gaining balance, but peace. You're gaining peace after a time of deep change and transformation. And you can see that here in the angel, there's the sun at the third eye, right? The sun is at the third eye, so that the third eye is illuminated, as is the crown. So the third eye and the crown chakra, because now we're connecting to the divine. And what we're doing after a death, after massive transformation, is we're using our connection to the divine and bringing it down into the earth, and we're grounding this so that we can find that calm space. And this is kind of the beginning of the road toward the enlightenment, which is, the big crown. This is the enlightenment happening on the path. So you're now walking this path up to your own enlightenment because you've experienced death, and death is a massive transformation. And that's the Temperance card. And my family have just come home, so I do have to go. I thank everybody. I do have actually, just before we go, after that incredible story that just kind of sat it just sat hugely in a really big way. Such a beautiful story. I have a 30-minute reading to give away, which I want to give to everyone here. So I want, if you can all pick a number between 1 and 12, that would be great. And I have the number in my head, and I'm going to write it down so that you all know that I'm not just making it up. Here we go. So this is a 30-minute reading with me, and we'll just find a time to do it sometime between now and whenever. I'm very flexible. I have a friend who won it last week, and she's a mom and I'm a mom, and we're just finding the right time, but we end up finding it. It ends up being the right one. So we've got people. Yay. Thanks, everybody. I'll wait a little bit. And so we've got our 10 people for the Spirit Seance. Thank you so much, Tara, for being the 10th person. We've got if anybody else wants to get on the waiting list for that, there might be some people who pop off, have to do things. It is New Year's Eve. That's for the Spirit Seance. Next week, we'll be doing the Devil card, which is wonderful. The Devil is so rich, and there's so much to say about the Devil. And then, so that'll be on the 12th. And then, so we have 2 more Saturday nights before I take a break for 2 weeks. So I'll let everyone know on Instagram and Facebook. Hi, babies. I love you. Hi. Can you hear those wonderful voices? Okay, the winning number is, woo, number 7, Linda Drost. Congratulations. Oh, Linda, I'm so happy we're going to have a reading. We may already have either 30 minutes or an hour lined up. But thank you so much, and have a great, great weekend, everybody. Thank you for tuning in, and lots of love to everybody. Have a great weekend. Bye. Yes.
done?